Hello, my name is Martin Cordoba, and today I'm going to be investigating the question of who I am as a learner. So here are some photographs from my schooling journey from kindergarten to year 12. So my learning journey from kindergarten to year 6 included achieving well at school without being exceptional and experiencing difficulties with mathematics. I started strongly in year 7 and was a hard worker, but this dropped off in year 7 and 8 to some degree. From years 10 to 12, I became more focused on my studies, developing deeper interests in subjects which involve creativity, including visual arts and design and technology, as well as developing more personal interests and a social circle which was more aligned with these interests, as well as pressure to achieve highly in the HSC. As discussed by Woolfolk and Margetts, it is commonplace in secondary schooling for groups of students to form cliques or cultures, which may include who is in and out of favour socially, how to dress, and what type of music is popular as some common examples. This is very powerful in terms of its influence on school behaviour and achievement. Upon considering this, I found that there was a clear link between being a focused student in year 7 and my dedication and hard work dropping in years 8 to 9, as my social circle at the time influenced me to behave in this way as it was seen as a more socially acceptable and enjoyable way to behave. So this modern high school peer hierarchy pyramid demonstrates an interesting, if somewhat stereotypical example of how we may think of a high school social hierarchy. As I gravitated towards creative subjects at school, but also enjoyed sports and heavy metal music, I probably had a bit of an interesting crossover between all three of these supposed categories. In terms of the role and influence of my parents, they were mostly authoritative, demanding but responsive, rational and democratic, as they had an expectation that I would do my best and work hard, but it always remained my choice as to what I wanted to pursue through my studies. Having a strong early emotional bond with parents and secure attachment at a young age can also encourage students to achieve highly and to continue with their learning in a positive way. This influenced my work ethic, as well as influencing me to once again take my studies seriously in my later years of school. Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development suggests that children move through 4 stages of mental development, focusing not only on how children acquire knowledge, but also on understanding the nature of development, including the sensoromotor stage from birth to 2 years, the pre-operational stage from ages 2 to 7, the concrete operational stage from ages 7 to 11, and the formal operational stage from the ages of 12 up. From the ages of 12 upwards, some of the main characteristics include thinking abstractly, reasoning problems, the consideration of moral, ethical, and political concerns, and beginning to use deductive logic. I can remember that throughout my secondary schooling, and particularly as I progressed to the later years, that my thinking skills began to become significantly more complex, which went hand in hand with the influence of teachers, my social circle, parents, and the development of my personal identity. The zone of proximal development originates from Vykotski's socio-cultural theory and is the distance between what a child or student can achieve by themselves and what they can achieve by themselves with assistance. Scaffolding refers to the support which a teacher may provide for a student based on their own zone of proximal development level, by setting tasks which the students could otherwise not complete. The end goal of the student is therefore the ability to become an independent and self-regulating learner, with the supports being reduced gradually. Students are therefore presented with tasks which are just out of reach, with the level of challenge in their learning being in the Goldilocks zone, otherwise referred to as a healthy struggle between being too simple and too difficult. I can remember that in high school, as I progressed, tasks such as assignments or projects became significantly more independent in nature, which is built up through years of scaffolding, which increased my ability to improve and work independently more and more each time. So I'm going to talk about triadic reciprocal causation now. As explained by Bandura, triadic reciprocal causation is the mutual influence of personal, social and environmental and behavioral factors on learning. This includes how social factors such as role models, instructional strategies and feedback, which are a part of students' environment, can affect their personal factors which may include goals, sense of efficacy for completing tasks, attributions such as beliefs about success and failure, and processes of self-regulation such as planning and controlling distractions, which in turn then influences the personal confidence and interests of students. As I reached the latter stages of my secondary education, the relationship between my personal, social, and environmental factors influenced me greatly in my dedication to my studies and in wanting to pursue further education. This involved a combination of feedback from my teachers, environmental, my peer group who were striving to achieve in the same way I was, social, which then influenced me socially to create a strong work ethic and pursue my interests, personal. In terms of my university study, I completed a Bachelor of Fine Arts with honours from the University of New South Wales from 2011 to 2014, with my first 2 years of university being spent figuring out what direction I was going to focus on, which led to a change in focus and dedication in my third year. The last 2 years of my study were very focused, as I struck a balance between my practical and theoretical work. From 2016 to 2018, I undertook a Master of Art curating at the University of Sydney, during which time I honed my writing and theoretical interest as well as my practical skills. The factors of triadic reciprocal causation were also influential during my university education, as my lecturers provided a positive and supportive influence, which inspired and influenced my work ethic along with the social group which I developed. This then gave me the confidence to continue to pursue high degrees, eventually beginning with a career change by commencing a Master of Teaching of Secondary Education at ACU. Observational learning teaches us how to perform a behaviour, as well as what happens to us in specific situations if we perform that behaviour. Bandura noted that observational learning included 4 elements: attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation to repeat behaviours. As an artist who has developed a practice of ceramics, observational learning has been key to my development. This includes watching the technique of hand building, constructing parts, wheel throwing, and painting as they are undertaken, and understanding the importance of these activities. This was followed by then attempting the action myself and repeating it multiple times until I am able to practice and hone the skill independently. In 2018, I had the opportunity to travel to Peru to undertake a 10-week residency at a ceramic studio to undertake a creative project of my choice. This was a big learning experience for me in terms of my observational learning of ceramics, techniques and methods, types of clays, and how to create my own glazes for painting amongst developing and experimenting with my own practice. The environment in which I was in influenced me to achieve and motivated me to learn, as well as developing a social group during my residency in which we spent time both in and out of the studio and assisted and influenced each other, going back to the importance of Bandura's triadic reciprocal causation. Automaticity is described as the process of freeing one's working memory so that routine tasks can be completed elsewhere. Automaticity is described as the process of freeing one's working memory so that routine tasks, as described by Benjamin Bloom, the mastery of any skill, whether a routine task or a highly refined talent, depends on the ability to perform it unconsciously with speed and accuracy while consciously carrying on other brain functions. Common examples which we use in our everyday lives, which count as automaticity, include walking, reading and writing, as these are skills which we practice from a young age, and with continued practice and repetition they become automatic, in the sense that we do not consciously think of these things whilst undertaking them. In a study on talent and development, Bloom found that individuals who had been outstanding had dedicated many years of work to their respective fields, including 25 to 50 hours per week in practicing their skills. Bloom explains that much of this time is spent over learning these skills, and this is what is required to reach a level of automaticity, and a consistent level of practice is needed in order to maintain this level of automaticity. In my learning and practice of ceramics, I noticed that over time a certain level of automaticity has been achieved in terms of skills such as rolling clay, constructing parts, and working whilst thinking of other ideas or what I might do next. So in this way, developing a level of automaticity has enabled me to improve and further develop my practice. When I was younger, I learned guitar for several years, and in a similar way to learning the craft of ceramics, I learned by observation through a teacher, watching videos, and practicing a level of automaticity which was key in progressing to a more fluent level. Even now, without having played for a long time, the muscle memory of certain songs or guitar parts is still there whenever I pick up a guitar, which again demonstrates the importance of repetition, automaticity, and visual learning. So the VARC questionnaire is an online questionnaire which is designed for the participant to understand what kind of learner they are. As can be seen here, my scores included 10 for visual, 8 for oral, 10 for reading and writing, and 13 for kinesthetic. My results say that I am multimodal and enjoy a range of different learning styles, scoring particularly highly in kinesthetic learning, a tactile learning style which heavily involves touch and manipulation and can be used in combination with other techniques. When I consider how I've developed as an artist over the years, I believe that this is in line with how I've learned and also demonstrates the balance between visual learning, reading and writing throughout my studies, which I've always enjoyed and continued to develop. So this critical reflection has demonstrated that I've developed my learning over time in a variety of ways through the influence of many different emotional and environmental and social factors, ultimately leading me to pursue higher education through my university studies and post-secondary schooling. My learning journey has also led me onto a path of finding that visual and kinesthetic learning was a strength of mine and something I enjoyed, leading me to a range of different creative pursuits. As I work towards becoming a teacher, I wish to instill in students that they should pursue their interests and strengths through their learning and learning styles which they can enjoy and flourish in, as well as encouraging a healthy amount of challenge so that students can continue to progress and become independent learners. Fostering a positive environment for students in terms of providing support and assistance will also go a long way towards students feeling confident in continuing to progress their learning in a positive manner. Thank you for listening.